Hello and thank you all for watching. This is Many Sunny Sun for an astrological report. The astrotype for this is understanding the mysteries of life and death. I begin this video with a quote by Gerald Massey. The mass of people who are Bible taught never get free from erroneous impressions stamped on their minds in their infancy, so that their manhood or womanhood can have no intellectual fulfillment, and millions of them attain a mentality to a sort of a second childhood. Quote by Gerald Massey. So on October 10th, 2017, Jupiter will enter the sign of Scorpio, which will cross there until November 8th of 2018. So Jupiter in astrology here represents feelings of religious devotion. Jupiter is expressed as a quality that enables man to raise itself in the level of the most sublime. Here, through feelings of spirituality and religious beliefs and core values. Here, Jupiter brings us wisdom, higher knowledge, philosophies. It is associated with the ninth house of long trips and journeys. With the influence of this planet, it will raise you to the level of a priest in the sign of Scorpio, of the mysteries of magnetism, the spiritual rites of death and self-control. When we are in Jupiter, when we see Jupiter here, the great benefactor of the zodiac, in the sign of Scorpio, we have Jupiter, Zeus god. In mythology, Zeus expands its influence wherever the finger of God touches. So its influence in each of the 12 houses would give great potency and beneficence. Jupiter, of course, expands our social world, where everything that serves a higher purpose. It brings minds together, it unites them, and blending them into a union, which is yoked in love and harmony. So this planet Jupiter brings us success, which the planet most generally results in doing. It enlarges the situation that it is in. So Jupiter here will bring wisdom that will uplift humanity from the problems of death, crisis. People will come out stronger after going through the gates of hell or Hades. So when Jupiter makes its entrance here for a year in a water sign or house number 8 on your personal natal chart, hidden opportunities shall appear into the consciousness of every person. Pluto, as his ruler, gives great potential to bring issues of death in order to be born once again. So Pluto here is very instinctive, and it adds to the urge for renewal of the mind, with a certain darkness encroached upon society. So in a position of Jupiter, which brings associations of spiritual communion and a phase in the humor of life, it will bring a sudden human impulsive behavior with a penetrating charisma, a cold and tenacious way in accomplishing this Jupiterian work. So it gives great domination of its own environment to control and all to have power over others. So this cunning way of Jupiter into Scorpio will have a critical view and a cunning way to punish someone else to do the dirty work for him. So this is what really prioritizes this Jupiter in Scorpio, to be able to ignore everything else and to go straight to the heart of the matter. So people will work hard and diligently and efficiently with a flair of business and enterprise. This placement gives very resourceful means on how to handle money and earn it. So they will do all the work it takes that it requires. By so doing, it reaches this intensity point whereby once reached, there's no way of going back except to grow and change. So during Jupiter in Libra, it spends its time of undecidedness, of feelings of rejection, and it really didn't know when to make the solid choice and decisions, and has hesitated to take the reins and control of the situation. So during this period in time of Jupiter and Scorpio, we take a new dimension in life on how to do things, rather than mull things over. So, making this a very great time to do that ardent work you have been waiting on doing and chose not to during this period of Libra. Sometimes we hesitate on doing something that really needs some change and reform, but when we are in a time of peril and destruction, there's nothing to think about it. It's about acting on impulse to do. So you will be aware of the process that it took you. People will notice something that needs to change in and around you. So, like when we reach to a certain stage of your age development, you suddenly take notice at what is going on around in my life. So this sudden touch is the beginning of the transformation that is awakening upon you, and you develop this sensitivity of the mysteries and a complete identification of those around you. so a radical sign of Jupiter to be in, but he will be transformed and changed in time for his metamorphosis to occur. So the Scorpion obliges all of us to be born again. Just as a snake peels its skin off, Scorpio will peel all that is not good and evil in the world and reveal its light and immortality. So this dark and fixity of the mind are keywords for Scorpio that represents. It is this emphasis on this side of Scorpio that one gets only a one-sided view, and a host of other derogatory terms like cunning, betrayal, deceit. Scorpio was always an emblem of evil, of death, and serving for self-interest behaviors. But Scorpio can also be quite revealing. While its essence permeates in darkness, in the nocturnal hours, and when the autumnal seasons of death and leaves begin to fall, it is this very essence that we're speaking of Scorpio. The sign has brought the archetypal focus of penetrating into the cold reaches of our soul, and often having a painful aftermath. So only Scorpio can do this scrupulous work of a job of forcing and cutting away everything out and bringing everything into the light. So Jupiter here in Scorpio, the natives can become aggressive in nature and self-reliant. They are known to have an impenetrable defense that people underestimate their ability of purpose. Scorpio, of course, can become quite deceitful, that opposed to them. So their fixity that Scorpio has is what fuels their interminable will. So that is why these natives can become great surgeons, psychologists. They are investigators. They try to reveal all that is hidden to get to the bottom of things. So you will have a hard time concealing the truth from a Scorpio. These people can pick up falsity or truth quite quickly. And that's because they are masters and crafters of deceit themselves. They are one of the most equipped people who will recognize that on others. That is because they are being, being taken as a fool. That's because they see it in themselves. They realize that all of it is a joke, and what better way than to reveal the deception of and shallowness of the other. So during this passage of Jupiter, we are being asked to go into the unknown of our depths and our soul and our psyche. Topics of interest that relate to the occult, the esoteric. This strengthens their quest for a fundamental meaning, their attraction for the mysteries of life, death, and beyond. All cultural taboos, this position really allows them to deep and get a better perspective of all these elements. Let's say that during this passage, we will accelerate the movement towards change that we aren't aware of yet. As it moves through the sign of Scorpio, we would have died to ourselves and be reborn once again when it enters the domicile of Jupiter in Sagittarius. Walking in our light and becoming more familiar in the world around us, that we can share our values similar to God without a disparaging step or hesitation. It is this very instinctive social position for Jupiter to be in, which can be quite crude, outstripping, in a rather abrupt way. So native people can rely on their emotional feelings in any relationship, rather than on a rational and intellectual logic of the Sagittarius. However, this does not mean that feelings and emotions will be easily expressed. Natives may find it difficult to understand them and to master them on the social level. They can sometimes be repressed and frustrated if they do not find no intimate way to express their powerful inner passions. Often these natives do not feel indifferent, either way they are adored for their talents and for their personality, or they can be detested precisely for their marketed of intense expression of their ego, or their too great assurance and some haughty side, or for their black humor and their peaks of emotion, often acidic and acerbate, that they do not fail to launch regularly. So let's go back to the rites of Scorpio. Of those that are about sexuality and magnetism. Sexuality is evolved through the motivation of the reproductive organs, the growing area. This can manifest as a desire for a sexual union with our partner, or to come into a connection with someone new during this period of time. In romantic relationships, the sexual desire can manifest in bonding more than just physical pleasures, but it can lead to an intensification of the meaningful experience that affect the quality of the relation and its fate. As I have spoken about in this video, the 8th house of Scorpio energy can lead to a fulfilling sex life, as sex promotes a union, more intense and enduring. I have said here that when we have a sensitive feeling that it touches your awareness, this is the beginning of the cycle that we're talking about. That is the intensification point for a Scorpio, and that the awareness finally dawns on that native. That is when this transformation begins to happen. The sexual desire intensifies and influences the initiation into a stronger bond. The contribution that both parties varies across differently in every individual and certain circumstances. If this union is sought, the relationship will have to have interest to go into the occult. Both of you will be interested to seek knowledge. You will need to balance the head and the heart. You and your partner will need to align in all levels, physically, mentally, spiritually. So when sought, you will experience a level of confidence never before existed in your sexual desire. So if you are persistent, you will experience a very peaceful termination when Jupiter has crossed over into Sagittarius next year. Thank you all for watching. This has been a special astrological report, Jupiter entering into the sign of Scorpio. The astrotype for this was understanding the mysteries of life and death. Thank you all for watching.